Be the pride of Africa by inspiring our people and delighting our guests consistently. Kenya Airways, commonly known as KQ, is a flag carrier of Kenya. It was founded in the year 1977 after the dissolution of the East African Airways. The head carrier's office are located in Embakasi with its hub at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. On to the current affairs. We see that KQ merged with Coca-Cola to produce the next Coke Studio season. By this it's clear that KQ is not only interested in providing transport services, but also it has an interest in the entertainment industry. A KQ plane carrying 30 passengers was hijacked by terrorists as a drill set up to check up on the national security. So for KQ, security comes first before anything else. And also, the British High Commission gave explosive trace detection machines worth 3.65 million shillings for them to be used in the screening of people and goods that enter the planes. Interestingly enough, KQ was reported to have the biggest net loss in the East African region, worth 25.7 billion shillings. And also on 28th May 2015, KQ revealed to the public that the government had bailed it out from collapsing by using 4.2 billion shillings.
July 1st last year, KQ merged with the New York-based Seabury Company to help them in establishing the KQ hotels, which helps in sorting our systematic issues and customer service.
So just like any other company, we have a purpose, and ours is contributing to the sustainable development of Africa. Our brand promise, delightful experience with a caring African touch.
Moving on to our business and business model. So how does Kenya Airways earn its revenue? We are engaged in international, regional, and domestic carriage of passengers and cargo by air, and we also provide ground handling services to other airlines and handle import and export cargo. So who are our major revenue contributors? We acquired loans from banks such as Barclays Bank and Citibank, not forgetting other air contributions such as Guinness, Pitts, Aviation, and British Midland Airways. So what does it cost us to deliver our service to the people? Purchasing costs, service costs, and our maintenance costs. So what are the major costs incurred? Any company incurs costs. Our major costs are airplane costs. I'll give you a good example of a Dreamliner B737-700, which goes for $150 million US. So who are our major clients? Anyone that flies with us is our customer, be it a doctor, lawyer, investors, entrepreneurs, or even you, because we believe in customer service, and we believe in anyone who flies in us, and we believe in the African pride.
Our company is in the aviation industry. It takes part in carriages of domestic, regional, and international carriages of cargo and passengers. It takes part in carriages of cargo to over 56 different destinations in Africa, Asia, Europe, and Middle East. Now let's move on to something of more importance. Who governs us? Who are our leaders? Our board of management. In this board of management, let's go to the most esteemed person, a person whom we believe to be full of nyadi, our main man and our CEO, Mr. Mbuvi Ngunze. He became the CEO of KQ in 2011, replacing a man known as Titus Naikuni. Now, most of you tend to blame him for the downfall of this company, but is he really to blame? Is it his fault that this company is going through a loss right now? Now, a wise man once said, something is done earlier and the effect is seen later. The effect of the downfall of this company is seen from the years of 2011 to 2015 when Mbuvi Ngunze was made the CEO, meaning that he became the CEO when the effect of the downfall of that company that happened earlier is being seen. He's merely the man who's been left to pick up the dust left by others. He's just the man who's been left to pick up the broken pieces of a once renowned company, and is expected to keep them back together and make a complete, perfect puzzle of a once renowned company. Now, if it were you, what would you do? I wouldn't blame him for the downfall of this company because it's clearly not his fault. But, however much is not to blame for the downfall of this company, the company is still making losses. It's still declining, it's still going through a downfall. And what is Mr. Mbuvinguze doing? What is his board of management doing? So we, as the Precious Blood KQ crew, suggest that this board of management should be changed, and people who are ready to take the bull by its horns until it screams for mercy be elected to sit on this board of management. And guess what? We are supported by court and the parliament.
So let's start with our ratios. We'll start with our profitability ratios, the operating profit margin and the net profit margin. These ones will show us how much the company is making. And as you can see, they're not normal graphs. They're going downwards. In 2012, our graph was, as usual, high. But then in 2013, you will notice in the profitability ratios, it is going downward, and your debt ratios and our other ratios, it will be going upward. This pattern will be noticed because in 2013, KQ was going through various changes and various problems, such as the fuel hedge cost, the really poor fuel hedge cost, the fact that the Ebola crisis, the Eurozone, where we had people that were, the travel advisories was telling us not to travel to their countries. This is affecting KQ. We also had the fact that our management then was weak. That's why you will notice the pattern in 2013. So our profit will go down, and I know why you're wondering. So 2013 was the problem. Why is 2014 still low? Because you don't expect a company to just jump up from a negative to a positive. It's the business world. In the common world, time is needed for improvement. Our return on assets and return on equity, we will see that it's the same will happen in 2013 as I explained earlier, and 2012 will have decreased. The return on equity and return on assets show us how much the company earns as per its capital and its value. Our return on capital employed and earnings per share. So per the shares given on the earnings per share, it shows us how much will be given per the share given to you as a shareholder of Kenya Airways. The return on the capital employed. This shows that the money that was given to the company to start up the company, what are the gains as per the company? The dividend yield. So many of you in the register of, let's say, agriculture, yield would mean harvest. Don't think far, it's the same that applies to business. So what is the dividend yield? What is the result and the harvest when the dividend is given out? The book value per share, we see it decreases per time. We know what is happening to KQ at the point. Everyone is talking about its losses and whatever is happening, the downfall, the plummeting. The dividend per share and earning per yield. So we have tried to increase the dividends in order to call upon our shareholders to support us in everything we do.
Six months to September last year, our company KQ made a loss of 11.9 billion. This was an improvement from half a dip of 12.5 billion in the previous year. And our cost of borrowing, cumulatively, the debt that we have as a company exceeds 130 billion. And audits estimate that 6 billion is required by the company in order to make the company recover its career. And as KQ, we're experiencing trouble in our company. And one reason as to why we're experiencing this is from the cost of borrowing. As KQ, we've been borrowing money, we've been taking a cycle of borrowing money in order to finance our expansion plans. And in the last financial year, the financial costs stood at 4.5 billion to 1.6 in the previous year. And we have key areas that we look at as Kenya Airways, and one of the major key areas that we look at is financing. We refinance our company both in long-term and short-term in order to enable ourselves so that we help our company in refinancing in order to reduce these financial costs which we've been experiencing over the years.
So what are the factors that our turnaround effort is based on? We have the bridging of the profitability gap, the reviewing and reaffirming of our business model, and the financial structure, both long-term and short-term. So let's get to what you all want to hear. What's our recommendation and why? So our recommendation from the PB KQ crew is to hold shares in KQ when you have them, and buy if you don't. If you're business smart, you'll realize that KQ creates a bullish environment in the aviation sector. So let me give you a few reasons why. So why is this girl standing in front of us telling us to buy shares, hold shares in the company that was named the worst, the biggest loss in the East African corporate history, and the losses are big enough to build another thicker highway or buy 30 new ferries for the Mombasa? It's actually confirmed by an audit. So the past records. In 1991, KQ was a third close to insolvency. Yet 5 years later, Kenyan citizens, the whole world, was celebrating KQ as a corporate company. Why? Because of profits. What tells you that this year, this period, is not our 1991 all over again? The government support, we have mentioned earlier so many times before, the government earns 7 billion from KQ, regardless of profit or loss. So would the government really be willing to let go of KQ? The Big Bath theory, the main concept. The Big Bath is a theory that says losses are made to look larger than they really are by people and by the social media. So KQ adapted this theory, trying to boost its performance. But you know, sometimes you sleep. That's what happened to KQ. And they became the theory. But what we forget is that it's all a theory, and it will go away soon. The Big Bath is just a theory, and KQ is coming to greater heights. Thank you.
Thank you, PB. Any questions, judges?
So as regards KQ and its competition, how does it compare with other airlines in terms of market share?
In terms of market share, let me start from where we start with KQ. Our biggest competitor in Africa would be Ethiopian Airlines at this point, and we know why. It's because of the government subsidies. Ethiopian Airline is fully subsidized by the government, and that would be one of our recommendations in the report. As per terms of market share, it is not traded on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, but according to the world standards, it is much better than us.
And what is the current share price?
Of KQ? 4.5.
Kenya Airways' highest operating costs are actually attributable to oil. Oil prices have been declining. What does it mean for Kenya Airways?
Pardon, the last part?
I'm saying, if you look at Kenya Airways' operating costs, the biggest chunk is taken by oil. Oil, yeah? And oil prices have been declining globally, yeah? So what does that mean for Kenya Airways?
You would see that it would help our company. That's why we're telling people to hold on to the shares and buy their shares. But the only problem is poor fuel hedging costs are not the only reason KQ is failing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.